Hey, it's Becky with ClickFluency, and on today's episode of the Natural Personal Care Marketing Podcast, I'm going to share with you a problem that can be taken care of before you can really grow your sales on Amazon, and that is unauthorized sellers. If you are a CEO or a CMO for a natural personal care brand and you're looking for profitability to grow your online sales through authentic and effective marketing, then today's podcast is for you. Even if you don't sell your products on Amazon yet, I'm going to share with you one of the biggest roadblocks for brands getting the success and sales from Amazon and why this could be killing your profit with your online sales off Amazon as well, and what you can do to fix it. So grab your bulletproof coffee or Zevia and let's jump in to working on your business and not in it. Welcome to the Natural Personal Care Podcast, your guide to personal care branding success. Every week, we'll unlock the secrets of eco-friendly marketing and share strategies that work. Are you ready to grow your brand on Amazon and beyond? Let's dive in. So let me share with you one of the biggest problems and headaches I hear from the hundreds of brands I've talked to over the last 8 years with their Amazon sales channel. Several years ago, for instance, I talked to a brand who had over 20 other sellers who were unauthorized sellers on one of their listings in particular. Their price on Amazon was constantly being undercut. They were dropping the price continually by those unauthorized sellers. That was not only hurting their ability to get any sales themselves, but also they weren't able to get traction with their Amazon ads, since Amazon ads actually only run when you have the featured offer, or what's also known as the Amazon buy box. So their distributors and other online retailers, they weren't happy with the price situation on Amazon because it was actually really hard for them to compete with the prices that they were always going below their MAP pricing, their minimum advertised price. Now, this was a headache, and having to clean this up it wasn't going to be easy or fast, but they knew they couldn't avoid it and they had to stop putting it off because things were only going to get worse. Has that ever been your brand? It might not even be for all of your products, but typically it's one of your better selling products usually. And you're not even sure maybe how many sales are on Amazon you're getting each month. And those unauthorized sellers, to be quite honest, typically they don't care about your brand image or your reputation. They aren't giving the customers the attention and service they need. And sometimes what's even worse is the quality of your product comes into question, and you might even start seeing negative product reviews on Amazon when it's not even you selling your product. And there's one thing they really want and need to see happen for you as your brand, and that is brand control. So we have found brand control to be so foundational for Amazon growth success that I want to dig into this first as a first step in our Amazon 7-step process for today's podcast. If you can't gain brand control for your products and listings on Amazon, then all the other steps that I'll share in future episodes, they won't be nearly as effective. Because what has happened is unauthorized sellers over the years, they may have even actually set up product listings for your products. So even if you're not selling on Amazon, your products might be getting sold each month. And the worst thing is that your listings aren't set up the right way. So many times there are few and low quality images. There's even sometimes outdated images. The copy, for instance, on your listing isn't reflecting your brand voice, or even worse, we've seen it where information on the listing is actually just not accurate, and it could be misleading, which then leads a bad taste in the buyer's mouth for your brand. So if you have been dealing with unauthorized sellers, or if you aren't selling your products on Amazon yet, then you'll want to follow these steps that I'm going to share with you to move towards eliminating and removing unauthorized sellers. Now, the reason I'm also mentioned if you aren't selling your products on Amazon yet is you should pay attention to this, is because typically your most popular product is that someone can actually purchase it from you. They could purchase it from a distributor or even a physical retail store. And if that's possible, then they can actually then create a listing if it doesn't already exist, and they can start selling your product on Amazon even, as soon as today. because Amazon is what's called like an open marketplace. And that means that if someone can get your product in their hands, they can then resell it. So I'm going to share a few tips to help with this later, but for now, just be aware that that could be happening. Now, the main problem with not having brand control for your listings on Amazon is pricing and also no control over the listing content. So let me share with you a few steps you can take to reduce or eliminate your unauthorized sellers on Amazon, or how to get ahead of the game and save yourself the headache of dealing with unauthorized sellers, which would be really most ideal. First step, you have to know what products, if any, are being sold on Amazon. You're going to have to do some research on this. You may need to go beyond just typing in your brand name because it might not be even linked to your brand name. Your brand name might not be in the title. So you definitely need to have that. After that, if you don't have an Amazon Seller Central account, you can either set one up. That's one option that'll help you to gain control of your Amazon sales channel in general. Or another alternative, if you don't like the idea of doing that, you could establish a relationship with a company that can handle your Amazon sales channel for you. Just make sure that they're going to share with you sales reporting and that they set up your listings correctly. So we do this, for instance, for some brands who they just don't want to deal with Amazon, or maybe even for cash flow reasons, they've told us that they prefer for us to buy inventory from them and for us to resell it or distribute it as their authorized reseller on Amazon. So those are a few options for you. Next step, if you have a live or active trademark and you're not already brand registered on Amazon, make sure to get that done. It is free currently, and that is something that's going to give you a little bit of extra help, not complete control, but it'll definitely help in some regards. So you'll definitely want to do that. Fourth, I would say if you do have unauthorized sellers, to buy one unit from each of those sellers to find out if it's authentically your product. If they don't have the buy box, usually there's an option right below the yellow button of add to cart. You'll see like you can just look a little further down and there's basically an option for more sellers. Click on that and that's where you could actually buy from them. And to be quite honest, I would mainly look at those that are selling it fulfilled by Amazon, or FBA for short. So when it says sold by their name, shipped by Amazon, that means it's fulfilled by Amazon. I would just buy from one unit from each of those to begin with. The other sellers are called merchant fulfilled, meaning they're fulfilling it themselves. And if you are looking to have an Amazon account, or if you are looking someone to be your authorized reseller for you on Amazon, most likely they're going to do FBA. And typically, FBA is going to usually get most of the sales because of Amazon's algorithm. So I would buy one unit from each of them to find out if it's your product. If it's not your product, that's a counterfeit issue, and that's where a brand registry would actually help. If it actually is your product, I'm going to share with you in the next step. So fifth, assuming that product is actually yours, you then need to research to find their business information, and you can use that to stop distributing to them, or notify them. You don't give them authorization to sell your products on Amazon. Now, please note, I'm not a lawyer and you would need to talk with your lawyer about this, but from experience with this particular tactic, you do typically have to find that leak in your distribution, because if they legitimately have your product, it is going to be much harder to have them stop selling, because you basically need to have them just not buy from wherever they're buying it from. That's where a future step I'll share will kind of help you figure out where are they even getting your product from. After notifying those unauthorized resellers, you then will want to track and monitor their inventory levels. Now, you can use this to compare to who's ordering from you maybe, or find out which retailer or distributor they're buying from. And this will kind of help you to know how much quantity they have, like remaining. It might help you to kind of figure out which source they got of your products from. Now, I have a little tip for you. If it's being sold above retail price, and this is like a little pro tip, most likely they're buying it at a retail store and they're marking the price up on Amazon. So we see this happen quite a bit. This is for products that they're literally buying it in a physical store, and where you might have it in distribution, and they're just selling it for more money on Amazon so that they can actually get a profit. So that would be kind of an indicator that that's how they're getting it. So seventh, another method, you could also actually track by lot numbers. So when you place that sample order from that previous step that I mentioned, you can then see who they are buying inventory from if it isn't you. So if it's you, obviously you would know that you sold directly to them. If it's not, that's where it gets a little harder. And then you can match it up to figure out, okay, they got it from this distributor or they're getting it from a retail store, because sometimes retail stores will sell it, put it on sale or discount things. So that whole pro tip might not be applicable all the time, but you'll just want to track your lot numbers, and that will help you to figure out where they're getting inventory from. Next, you're going to really strategize with cutting off their supplier or making the pricing for wholesale purchase where they just can't get any margin. Now, I say like 0% margin here or even negative, because we know that there are unauthorized sellers who will take very low margins if they can get volume. I'm talking 2-3%, like barely any margin. So even the 0%, it depends. They might be just trying to get rid of inventory, which that would be good because then they wouldn't buy more from you. But just keep that in mind that they are willing sometimes to take low margins because they don't have very much overhead, things like that. Next, you're going to continue that process. This is kind of like the last step, and evaluate if and when further and more drastic measures are needed. So you're going to kind of have to go through those steps first. Those are kind of the easier steps, more of the less expensive steps as well. And you're going to see if that makes a change. That's kind of why you're tracking their inventory levels, because are they buying more from you, or are their levels continuing to go down and they're not replenishing? That would be a good indicator that it's working. If that's not working though, and you're not seeing a change and they're not listening to when you're notifying them that they're not authorized to sell your products on Amazon, then you may want to, like I said, more drastic measures. This might include something like the transparency program that Amazon has. And that could be another episode itself. If you want to hear about that, let me know. But I do want that to be on your radar. I'm not going to dig into that on this particular episode, but that might be something that it does cost money, and it is a little bit more of a radical or a more drastic measure, I guess, that you would be taking. But it's something that we've also seen work very well and be successful for really actually eliminating any kind of unauthorized sellers. So that is the overall strategy and steps that you can take today to move towards eliminating and reducing those unauthorized sellers. So for your timeline of how long this will take, it does depend on how bad the problem is. If it's really out of control, you can anticipate this will probably take months. And this could be a very complicated problem. So I've tried to succinctly give you the steps that you can take so that someone on your team, or maybe you're the CMO that's overseeing your brand sales on Amazon, that you can take today to kind of move closer to getting this problem fixed and gaining that brand control, because this is foundational for your success for sales on Amazon. Now, here's an action item from this episode. I'm going to do this on episodes where I'm going to share with you something that's very actionable. And I would like for you to think about which one step do you need to take next to fix it if this is a problem for your brand. Let's say you don't even know if your products are on Amazon at all, like you have no clue. Go ahead and start searching, and search not only your brand name, but search your product name itself. Think about especially your best-selling product from your website or other places that, are most popular. Type that in and see if there's already a product listing for your product already. That would be like one step that you could take after listening to this that would move you closer to then moving to the next step from there. So that's just one example. Now, if you have any specific question that you want addressed in the future, make sure to go to the link in the show notes and drop me a quick 2-minute email with that question or concern that you want me to dig into on a future episode. And you can also just send a quick email to contact@clickfluency.com. I'll do my best to address each question that comes through in the future on a future episode. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope it brought you value you can use to grow your Amazon sales channel for your brand. What would really help me a ton, how important product reviews are on Amazon? Would you take a quick minute and leave me a review on Apple Podcasts? Just scroll down until you see the write a review in purple, and then you can click the leave the rating and review there. That'll help me to know you're getting value from this and what future content you want to hear more of that would serve you best. Thank you so much.